السيدات والسادة الحضور الكرام، نبدأ الآن الجلسة الثانية تحت عنوان Sustainable Strategies Integrating ESG and Decarbonization for a Net Zero Future. ويدير الجلسة دكتورة داليا صقر Founder and Managing Director at SHIFTERRA Consultancy، بمشاركة المتحدثين دكتورة سوزان حمدي Chief Sustainability and Sustainable Finance Officer بنك مصر، دكتورة ياسمين عبد الرازق Chief Strategy and Sustainability Officer and Chief of Staff EGBANK. Miss Rasha Zedan, Head of Sustainability and Sustainable Finance QNB AlAhli. Miss Soha Abou Zikry, Head of Global Customer Relations Commercial International Bank. فليتفضلوا جميعاً لبدء الجلسة.
مساء الخير. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this exciting panel discussion, which I promise you will see lots of green topics being discussed. And as you notice, we have 100% women, including the moderator. It's quite rare to see in a conference that, so quite proud of our impressive and impactful ladies today. Dalia, sir, I have the pleasure to be your moderator today, and I'll just introduce the topic of the panel. So we will explore the critical intersection of sustainability, environmental, social, and governance, or in short, what we call as ESG, and decarbonization strategies that are shaping the path towards a net zero future. Join us as we delve into the innovative approaches and best practices that are driving the transition to a more sustainable and low carbon economy in Egypt and in Africa. So to give you also some context, in July 2021, the Central Bank of Egypt issued the guiding principles for sustainable finance, reflecting its commitment to support the country's path towards sustainable development and also aligning with the international best practices. Then this was followed in November 2022 by the introduction of binding sustainable finance regulation that aims to integrate ESG within the bank financing, lending and investment activities, and also accelerate the banking sector vital role in financing sustainable and green projects. So let us start first by hearing a quick overview from each of our esteemed speakers on their bank's sustainability efforts and how they are leading the way in this crucial transformation. So I'll start with Dr. Suzan. Banque Misr has been on a really fascinating journey, transitioning from a traditional banking to one that places ESG responsibility at the core of its operation. So can you take us a bit behind the scenes and share some of the key milestones and challenges and lessons learned as the bank has worked to integrate sustainability across its mainstream business strategies and processes?
Thank you, Dr. Dalia, for the introduction. We all know that climate risk now is the most emerging risk over the next 5 years. And this is according to the World Bank Global Risks Report. It is now top on the agenda of all banks, and probably in most banks now, it's on every board of directors meeting agenda. And the finance sector, of course, plays a crucial role in economic growth and development, and a crucial role, of course, in climate change action plans. Why is this? We've all seen 26 COPs before the 27th COP, and nothing has changed because politicians just take decisions, but there is no really actions on the ground. In 27, it was about finance, and the financial sector now steps in to take a leading role in making things happen. Why is this? Because we control, as the finance sector and banking sector, the flow of money, the flow of capital, whether this is for companies or our retail customers or our SME customers. We deal with a lot of stakeholders, whether for our own internal operations or also relating to supply chain management. So By controlling this, we control the flow of money and direct capital. We can solve the challenges that society faces and finance the economy and have the opportunity to contribute, of course, to a more sustainable world. And as Dr. Dalia said, the Egyptian banking sector is undergoing transformation towards more sustainable, resilient sectors. And this is with accordance with the Egypt Vision 2030 and with Egypt's national climate change strategy for 2050. And of course, the CBE is leading this transformation by by issuing the guiding principles and the binding regulations in 2021 and 2022. And the most important thing is that there is a major transformation in the mindset of all bank employees. We have always been taught in all credit courses and all strategy courses that profitability and the bottom line and holding ourselves responsible to our shareholders is the main focus. Now, the mindset is shifting, and the mindset is shifting towards the triple bottom line. So we are integrating other things like the planet and the environment, and our focus now is not the one bottom line, which is profitability, but also including other factors, and now we're focusing on the triple bottom line. This is a journey, it's a process. It's not on and off. Tomorrow we're going to be sustainable banks. This takes a long time. It takes a lot of engagement. It takes a lot of awareness. It takes a lot of, as I said, changing the mindset of not only those who are in charge of the sustainability division, but also all employees, the board, the executives, our customers, our partners, all stakeholders. So what did we do at Banque Misr? In prioritizing sustainability, we started with prioritizing and doing our own risk assessment. How should we identify risks and opportunities? And sustainable finance and sustainability is not only about, and climate risk action plans, it's not about only risks, and it's an ethical thing to do. No, it is a complete change in the business model. So now, for the first time, it will be in all our decision-making processes. And to convince credit and corporate banking and SMEs and retail that this is going to be in their DNA and in every decision-making process that they are going to take, it is not easy. Because everyone is thinking about his targets, their profits at the end, their bonuses. There are misconceptions that this will affect our profits, and therefore it's something nice to have, but it's not must to have, and let's postpone this. And really, we don't have the time to do that. As you already know, maybe, and for those who read about climate action, is that this is the decade where we make it or break it. Either we are part of this, it's an existential thing for ourselves and for our families and for our children and grandchildren. So if we don't do anything about it and we wait for things to happen, we already see how the climate change is affecting not only that it's becoming warmer, but you can see this in the prices of livestock and the prices of vegetables and the prices of a lot of vegetables and fruits. So we tried at Banque Misr to start with the governance structure, which is embedding in the board that there is a dedicated board committee with an oversight of all ESG issues and policies and strategies across the bank. The second is the steering committee, and the steering committee membership is for all the executives at the bank, all the divisions, and they are responsible for discussing more details, more implementation action plans and frameworks. And then we have the sustainability division, sustainability and sustainable finance division, according to the CBE, who coordinates and facilitates and puts the pillars for the transformation journey across the bank. And then we have the sustainability champions, which are in different departments, and they are our leads and champions in this transformation journey across all departments. So how do we change the mindset? Where do we start? As you said, we started at the government structure. Then we're starting with a systemic approach, a holistic approach. And this is the name of the game, not a silos approach. You cannot go on operating as we used to operate in a sequential matter. Risk looks at risk and the corporate and lines of business looks at opportunities. It will not fly. So having this holistic approach where we are all having a system thinking approach, we are all seeing the same thing from all angles, from beginning from the board till the teller, we all can see the same goals. This is the holistic systems thinking. This is very important. Okay, so the other thing is the collaboration. We don't do this alone. The collaboration is with our partners and capacity building. So capacity building at Banque Misr regarding sustainability and sustainable finance starts at the board, and then the executives, specialized training, mass, and then our clients. So we have to also support our clients in the transition plans, and by incentivizing them, by raising awareness, by giving them solutions, by giving them technical assistance. And this collaboration is the best thing that could happen to the ecosystem. And even among banks, I believe I can see colleagues from the Federation of Egyptian Banks. We work together, not on a competition, it's a co-opetition. So we share our experiences and our knowledge in really moving to and facilitating and navigating the transformation process. I can go on talking, but I believe my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suzan, for this interesting journey. So I'll move now to Dr. Yasmine from EGBANK. And EGBANK is considered relatively new to the sustainability game compared to its peers. So I'd like to hear from you what you have been some of the key hurdles and also the learning curves for the bank as it navigates this important transition.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really thrilled to be among the distinguished panelists. Very difficult to take the stage after Dr. Suzan. Hope we can do a good talk. Well, for EGBANK, we might be relatively new in comparison to peers when it comes to the sustainability journey. If we mean by the sustainability journey, the formal frameworks, the certifications, the governance frameworks that are needed. But we believe very much in sustainability at core. And usually when we talk sustainability, in many instances, naturally, environment comes up, and all what we're talking about is the E part of it. At EGBANK, we try to balance somehow between the E, the S, and the G ever since we started our ambitious growth strategy in 2015. And we started with on the environmental side, for example, despite we didn't formally embrace a sustainability strategy at the time. For example, we had an expansion plan when it comes to branches. As much as possible, we adopted green practices. We tried to use sustainable building materials, energy efficient appliances, lighting systems, and so forth. And this was done under the umbrella of green practices. On the social side, and we like to think that we're pioneers and leaders when it comes to social aspect, and nothing shows our commitment to this aspect more than the Mint platform and the Beyond Banking proposition that we have done. We've launched the Mint platform in 2018, and this is only dedicated for youth and entrepreneurship ecosystem. So the way we're trying to support youth underserved in the Egyptian market, as we can all agree, and fostering the entrepreneurial ecosystem is something that we have also adopted even before the financial inclusion strategy or the sustainability strategy being formalized. And we believe at core this is a business case rather than just a CSR activity or anything. And on the governance side, I think part of what we've been doing, and this was really important, especially when you're taking off with a growth strategy, with the support, obviously, of the board, is to try to put governance structure in place and governance frameworks that support all the efforts that you're doing on different aspects of the bank, being able to grow in different areas. And this included putting the right structures, covering all the aspects of segregation of duties, conflict of interest, whistleblowing policies. All of these were really important, and it completes the structure of the ESG items that we're looking into. Now, as we start to formalize our efforts towards sustainability, aligning with CBE's and the whole government's direction towards sustainable development, we've established a dedicated unit to sustainability and sustainable finance as per the CBE directions. We have champions in all the different departments, similar to what Dr. Suzan has mentioned. This is really important, spreading across the whole organization to build awareness about sustainability concepts. We have issued our own carbon footprint report on the head office and on the branches, and we're very soon to issue our first sustainability report. Mint platform has launched the Mint Green FinTech Hackathon in 2022. This was a 4-day journey that aimed to equip participants with space and tools in order to hack the climate change challenge through FinTech or FinTech-enabled solutions. Currently, we're working on acquiring the Egyptian Gender Equity Seal after embracing the women's empowerment principles, solidifying our commitment to empower women in the workplace, in the marketplace, and in the wider community. The most significant challenges, I would say, that have been through this last part of the journey when we're trying to formalize things out, I would say, is awareness. To build awareness across the whole organization, making sustainability a value. Not only that you have the commitment of the management and the commitment of the board, but rather the commitment and the belief of every single one, like Dr. Suzan said, until the teller in the branch that understands the concept and what does it mean for them. Another challenge was the data collection and classification. It's very difficult at the beginning without the needed training, the needed awareness. One important challenge is understanding the impact. When we talk sustainability, a lot of people, they don't feel what is the impact right now. And the reason why is that sustainability is by definition a long-term vision, something that needs a very comprehensive outlook and a wider view of things. And it's very difficult sometimes to put this point of view with people. They think more on immediate results and immediate actions. And one challenge also relates to how can we address different areas of the organization and explain what sustainability means to them. Because for every department in the bank, it's different. So we try to put ourselves in their shoes and try to explain the difference in sustainability concept from developing new products to investment decisions to changing the procurement practices and all of that. Another thing that I've learned is that we can't do it all. We have to focus on the things that have the wider impact and the most significant impact, and this is different for every institution. EGBANK can have an impact maybe on the social part, on the entrepreneurial and youth segment. Other banks might be interested to go into other things, and it's important to focus on the thing that is going to generate the most significant impact at the beginning. And here comes the idea of the materiality matrix and why certain things are more important than others. I think one important thing that has helped us through this journey was trying to benchmark continuously, set targets and KPIs that are measurable, continuously monitor and report on these KPIs in order to be able to sustain in this journey. A key issue also is to recognize that no organization alone can address the challenges of sustainability. And here comes the importance of building partnerships. This is the 17th SDG, which is often overlooked. Nobody actually thinks of the building partnerships. But I think building multi-stakeholders partnership is important, because without this, we cannot mobilize resources or build capabilities or drive innovation. The last thing I would say is that I think the biggest impediment to pushing forward the agenda towards sustainability is the uncertainty. The level of uncertainty that leaders face nowadays is extremely high when it comes to geopolitical tension, supply chain shortages, rapidly changing technologies. All of these sometimes force leaders into taking short-term actions that might not be the most efficient or the most sustainable. And because sustainability is by definition very uncertain also, it increases the ambiguity around the decision-making that they have to take, and this makes it very difficult. And I think part of our role is change agents, and I'd like to think that all the sustainability champions in the organization are change agents, is to push the needle towards what's the most suitable thing to do at this point in time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yasmine, and I'll borrow from you the word partnership and move to Ms. Rasha Zedan from QNB AlAhli, where QNB has positioned itself as one of the champions for SME lending in Egypt. So please shed the light on your dynamic experience on SME lending, in particular your partnership with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Dalia. QNB AlAhli is one of the prominent banks in Egypt, has significantly strengthened its position in the SMEs lending sector. This was through strategic initiatives. QNB AlAhli maintains a dedicated SME unit. It was the first bank in Egypt to reach and exceed the 1 year earlier the Central Bank of Egypt lending target of 25% of the bank's total loan portfolios. In 2023, our SMEs lending portfolio exceeds 40 billion Egyptian pounds. QNB AlAhli extends its support to micro and small businesses by providing non-financial services, including specialized workshops that designed for the startups and the young entrepreneurs. These workshops focus on enhancing their administrative, legal, and managerial skills for the success of their business. One of our major achievements is our participation in the Nilepreneur initiatives, which is sponsored by the Central Bank of Egypt and implemented by the Nile University. QNB AlAhli participates by 5 development centers and 1 incubator hub, where it provides non-financial services and financial literacy. Here we have proudly to say that some of these startups have been recognized nationally and internationally and participated in COP27. Secondly, QNB has introduced Hayat program to assist business women and female retail customers to enhance their access to the banking service. QNB has developed a wide range of financial products tailored specifically to SMEs, including working capital loans, long-term investments, trade finance. These products are designed to be flexible in order to meet the unique needs of the different types of SMEs. Coming out from QNB AlAhli deep understanding to the local market, it developed a SMEs expansion plan focused on the most promising regions, which are Delta and Upper Egypt. QNB has invested deeply in the digital banking solutions, including online platforms, mobile banking apps, government payments, salary payments, points of sale services, and corporate credit cards. This is to make banking more accessible and convenient for SMEs. Our partnership with EBRD, or European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, has been crucial. On the SMEs level, we have many agreements with the EBRD that have provided QNB AlAhli with additional funding, risk-sharing mechanism, technical assistance, and a cash-back grant worth from 10 to 15% upon project completion to our clients. This enabling QNB to extend more loans for the SMEs and to develop innovative financial solutions. For example, the Green Value Chain Program, which is a collaboration between QNB AlAhli, the European Union, and EBRD. It provides loans for 34 million US dollars, aiming to promote sustainable and environmentally friendly practices within the supply chain. Also, it provides the technical advisory services to enhance the product of the SMEs, the product quality of the SMEs, enabling them to enter the export market. Second, GAF2, which is the Green Economy Financing Facility. QNB AlAhli, with the collaboration with the EBRD and Great Climate Fund, has succeeded to secure 7.5 million US dollars with a special focus on SMEs, women-led business, and green financing, such as energy efficiency, water efficiency, renewable energy, and resource efficiency. Last but not least, Youth in Business program. This program worth 20 million US dollars, offering financing and technical assistance to young entrepreneurs where their age do not exceed 35 years old, to help them to grow and develop their small and micro business. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rasha. And moving on the same topic of sustainable finance, I would like to pose the question to Ms. Soha from CIB, where CIB is one of the leading banks in Egypt on sustainability, and maybe the central banks of Egypt's sustainability-focused regulations carved out new avenues for CIB to develop innovative financing solutions. But I'm sure that navigating through this evolving landscape has undoubtedly also presented some key risks. So if you could share with us how you leverage these regulatory changes to create impactful, sustainable finance offerings, and also how did you effectively manage the challenges that have arisen along the way? That's a long question.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the EBI and thank you for your patience. But before going to the question, I would want to say something about CIB's journey for sustainability. CIB is the largest private sector bank, and as the largest private sector bank, it has a responsibility to lead by example. So we always have, I used to say that CIB is the largest private sector bank, local bank. Now we acquired CIB Kenya, and we have a fully fledged bank in Kenya other than our rep office in Dubai. So despite the fact that we used to be a local bank, we always have an eye for the international market. What are the trends? What are the norms? What are the new frameworks, legislations that happens in the developed countries and is going to decide the framework for the finance and the economic development later. So CIB Sustainable Finance Strategy is guided by two main goals: leading Egypt's sustainable transformation into a green economy and positioning CIB as a regional and global achiever in sustainable finance. So the journey of CIB started early enough in 2013. So I was on the business side and I was the one resisting all of you to implement this, because also the ecosystem was not mature back then. It was very early, and but the board and the chairman had enough. We were lucky that they saw what we didn't see back then. So the journey started in 2013. And up till now, we have been into the journey till 2023. I know the time is limited, so I will not go through the journey. I'll just give you highlights on the key milestones that happened throughout the last 10 years. In 2013, we established our first sustainable department. In 2015, CIB published voluntarily the sustainable report for the bank. It was not mandated by the FRA, it was not mandated by the CBE. However, we did this voluntarily. In 2017, We implemented the environmental and social risk management system that is currently the CBE is asking all banks to implement. So it's already implemented into our DNA, into all the departments, and we are acting and we analyzed all our portfolio. We analyzed on a portfolio level and on a transaction level. In 2020, we had our first sustainable finance department that's embedded into the corporate financing. And in 2021, CIB issued the first green corporate bond for $100 million with the help of the IFC. And it's from 2021 up till now, it's a revolving facility that was consumed 3 times. And this gives you the immense demand for green finance that's in the market. The problem is that maybe we don't have the right instruments and products that satisfy this demand. In 2023, CIB also issued its 7-year $100 million loan to finance sustainability projects in all different sectors, from renewable energy, wastewater treatment, green cities, green buildings, clean transportation. Of course, this gave us an edge. And I want to say something, because Dr. Suzan mentioned it. I need to tell you that the sustainable finance and the green opportunities, they increase revenue generation. Because at the beginning, we had the same mindset that it's going to hamper us. Why are we doing this? But actually, all the opportunities generated from green growth and development created opportunities that we'd never have thought of, and access to DFI's fund, cheap funds, collaborations with multilaterals and international organizations that we have learned a lot from, that currently gives us an edge in being able to be on the forefront or the spearhead of the sustainable finance. Okay. السؤال الثاني بقى ولا زهقتوا؟ Okay. As I said, the key to navigating through CBE Direct is having an early start. And as I mentioned, we had an early start in 2013. So this early start gave us an edge to have capacity building. The challenges that we faced back then is to change the mindset, as Dr. Suzan said, to have the right capacity building, to be able to convince all the stakeholders internally inside the bank, and then convince the client. Because the client, you need to walk them through the transformation and the transition and tell them why do they need to do or embed the ESG, taking into consideration that the legislation sometimes does not promote this. If you have subsidy on the electricity, if you have subsidy in terms of whatever utility you're using, or you don't have restrictive laws in terms of pollution or polluting industries. So actually, we had to work very hard. We had to walk through audits to our clients, and we had to source lots of cheap funds and be able to bundle products and to convince our clients and tell them that this is opportunity for sustainable growth. Having said this, I need to say that also the bank is complying with IFC, EBRD, and equated principal performance standards. So we also take the international standards very seriously, not only what's dictated by the CBE or the FRA. So CIB sustainable finance strategy are cascaded to 4 priority areas: risk management, revenue generation, and it proved that it generated immense revenue, reputation, and ecological footprint. What are the main risks? First, the banks has to abide by the new legislation framework and abide by the decrees in a timely manner. You have to conform with all the policies, the regulations, the framework, and the dictated time frame. For the clients, if you don't conform with the regulations, you are standing to have loss or foreclosure on your business. So now with the CBAM and the and the polluting industry, we have 5 main sectors like the energy, hydrogen, aluminum, fertilizers, that has to abide by the decarbonization plan. If you don't abide by the decarbonization plan that I think it's set for 2026, you will not be able to export your products. You will not be able to compete in the international markets, which affects your revenues and your balance sheet. So what I want to say is that green or sustainable finance enhance your balance sheet, your income statement. And it's not a cost. It causes revenue generation. As Dr. Suzan and the reputable guest said, that there are several challenges. Capacity building, this is, I think, the most important hurdle. Capacity building, because it's all aligns that if you can convince the people and train them of the importance of sustainable finance, then everything becomes easy. This is what we did at CIB. Sustainability is now within the DNA of the bank. Nobody even tried to discuss whether this is useful or not useful. We all abide by the principle of responsible banking, and we all assess the transactions in terms of its viability for the economy and for the green and growth. Of course, align with clients. As I said, we have the walkthrough audits and several trainings and orientations for our clients. And we started with the top clients, the top clients, because in Egypt, it trickles down. When the pioneers in the industry start implementing the green finance strategy, you would find that the second layer and the third start following. The most important thing was for us was access to cheap finance and how to get the cheap finance that accommodates the corresponding industry. And I'm going to talk about this later, I don't want to take all the time. But the most important thing, what I found also as a limitation, is finding the products. You have the ecosystem ready, you have the legislation, you have the funds, everyone is convinced. What is the product to give to the client to be able to access green finance? And I think this is going to be my second thing. So thank you.
Okay, so we move now to a second round of discussion, really focusing more on the environment pillar, especially climate change. So as we heard this morning from Dr. Jihan Soukari from the African Development Bank, the philosophy of changing risks into opportunities. And this is what we really want to delve into. And starting with Dr. Suzan Hamdy from Banque Misr, and also what we heard this morning from the interesting panel on digital transformation. So many experts believe that digital transformation will be critical enabler for business to operate in a sustainable manner. So from your perspective, Dr. Suzan at Banque Misr, how have you seen digital technologies and innovations unlock new opportunities for your corporate clients to reduce their environmental footprint and to contribute to a greener economy?
Actually, just before delving on what my colleagues have said, that you always, if you want to be resilient, and while you're adopting new sustainability policies and sustainable finance policies, being ahead of the curve is very important. And it's not always that you're just waiting for the regulations, CBE regulations. You always have to see what are the new trends. We have seen in today the panel, they were talking about AI. AI is going to change the way we operate. CBAM is coming. We have a very ambitious target for Egypt in its 5-year plan for $145 billion. Now we are at about $40 billion. How are we going to do that with more than 35% of our exports today are to the EU? And if we say we're going to find new markets, well, all markets will follow the EU. So there is no, so being ahead of the curve, whether in all disciplines, and I believe that sustainability and sustainable finance is an excellent opportunity for the banks to leverage on sustainable design, opportunities, innovation. The banks can explore new markets, new sectors, niches that are emerging and growing. And talking about the digital banking is an enormous opportunity for the financial sector to collectively define its next chapter of growth and contribute to the creation of a more sustainable financial ecosystem, because it supports every stakeholder and own transition, whether these are corporate entrepreneurs, startups, retail clients. So digital banking raises the bar, and it raises the sustainability bar in the banking sector beyond traditional financing. And banks now have an excellent opportunity to leverage the latest technologies and embrace digitalization to minimize the environmental impact of their own operations and the operations with their clients. It is essential for the financial institutions and digital banks to take the lead in reducing their footprint, their carbon footprint, by providing support and new offerings to their consumers. And for Banque Misr, as you've already read in the papers and discussed in the morning, Banque Misr has has established the first local digital bank. And the first local digital bank today, we are starting in Egypt. However, we do aspire that it will link Africa together. And now today we didn't talk about Africa for a long in our panels, but I believe now the collaboration not only within the partners in Egypt but within Africa is essential, and it is only possible by digital technologies. Now we are facing really hard times. As we said, digitization plays a crucial role in shaping Africa's future by driving socioeconomic transformation and fostering inclusive growth. If we talk about that, why is there an opportunity? Because 80% of Africa's population have mobile phone subscriptions. However, there is no internet or broadband coverage. So there is an opportunity, but there are also challenges for governments to improve the infrastructure. Also, there's a lot of opportunity in Egypt with a large young population who will be more likely to be tech oriented and more capable of adapting to this digitization sustainable policies. And despite the progress that we've mentioned, there are other channels that digitalization can contribute to sustainability in Africa and Egypt. First and foremost, Egypt is highly, as I mentioned at the beginning, is highly vulnerable to heat waves, sea level rise, rainfall retention, desertification, and faces severe challenges of water scarcity, with 95% of our water resources that are outside of our hands. So what will happen in the future if we do not embrace collaborative and partnerships with other African countries who will also face the same vulnerabilities? Food security is imperative in Africa, is imperative to Egypt. As in 2016, our president has said that 1/3 of our delta, could just be extinct. If 1/3 of the delta is extinct because of heat waves, because of the sea level, of climate change, what are we going to do? So now we have to embrace digitalization. And how can digitalization or digitization help? It is through precision agriculture, using sensors, drones, data analytics, which can improve crop yields while minimizing resource use. Water management tools, which can monitor water availability, reducing leaks, promote efficient irrigation. Digital solutions that can optimize renewable energy production and distribution. Same for health. Smart cities. Banque Misr has partners with all the developers, the large developers in the country, and therefore smart cities digital infrastructure can enhance the urban planning, energy efficiency, and water management. And Egypt has been very active in the very sectors of the economy as part of its vision of 2030 in sustainable development and sustainable agriculture development strategy. supply chain financing programs. My colleagues have talked about this. This is very important because if you digitize the value chain and the supply chain, it benefits all those who are across the value chain. You can have more. You can have a more a profitable ecosystem, more better data analytics. You can have various financing programs. Providing access to comprehensive data will make you issue better sustainable finance offerings for your clients and entrepreneurship. On the digital front, Banque Misr, other than the digital bank, it has its own digital factory, which is responsible for the digital transformation inside Banque Misr. And we have the Digital Express Loan, which is completely for SMEs, and it is completely online. We also have I believe our mobile application is one of the best in the market, and it's always there enhancements. We have a strategic venture labs. We have the accelerator. I don't believe that a lot of banks have accelerators where we partner with fintechs and startups, and there will be a green vertical this year. We partner with them for fintech solutions and how they can integrate, whether with Banque Misr or with other banks and other investors. And also Banque Misr is embarking on how to use AI in its own operations and how can this improve the customer experience together with MDI. So all of this is developing the ecosystem, looking at the holistic approach or the holistic mindset. As I always say, it's very important to have this, maintain this holistic mindset and leveraging on technology. So in summary, thinking action now can bring important savings for Egypt. And talking about digitalization is a must. It's not a nice to have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Suzan. And I will start my question to Dr. Yasmine from where you ended. And I know it's a passionate area for her, fintech accelerators and startups. And as we heard from Dr. Suzan, all the impacts from climate change, whether food security, sea level rise, and others, would require an unprecedented level of financing to tackle these issues. So from your view, what kind of innovative financing mechanism and disruptive business models have you seen emerging, whether at EGBANK or broadly in the Egyptian and African market, to help mobilize the capital needed to fund this critical transition?
Well, I come with a background in debt markets, and I tell you from my experience, funding is always available at the right price. So today, the only difference is that more funding is available at the right price and the right cost. So we're seeing a lot of funds, despite much less than what's actually needed, being channeled to serve sustainability-related projects. In debt markets, for example, we see a group of bonds collectively referred to as thematic bonds. Thematic bonds refer to green, social, sustainable, and sustainability-linked bonds. These are types of bonds that have specific use of proceeds serving certain sustainability-related purposes like renewable energy, affordable housing, gender equality, a lot of these topics. The most famous one of those are the green bonds, because these actually dominate the issuances. In 2023, for example, the market issuances amounted to the sustainability in total, $981 billion, more than half of which were in green bonds. We find that these kinds of bonds finance, as I said, wastewater management, affordable housing, employment generation, food security, gender equality, and any of these tools actually can have a gender lens depending on the availability of the data and how we segregate the data and how we measure the impact of every single one of these and report on which. Egypt has issued the Green Financing Framework, in 2020, and followed by that, they issued the sovereign. Issued a green bond that was for in 2020 as well for $750 million. Followed by that, Egypt issued the Sustainable Finance Framework in November 2022 after the COP27. In October 2023, it issued the first sustainable panda bonds in the Middle East and North Africa. The amount of the bond was $3.5 billion. It was for 3.5% yield over 3 years. The reason why the yield is very small, other than that it's the currency is the yen, is that it was guaranteed by the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the African Development Bank. This is a mechanism. Obviously, bonds have been used for funding sovereign needs for so long. These are different types of bonds and different type of debt that attracts different type of investor as well. In addition, what comes along with the thematic bonds in general is the importance of measurement of impact. Usually before, when we issued a Euro bond, you would use the proceeds into the budget deficit, and nobody actually reviews the use of funds. But for these types of bonds, there are specific lists of projects. The projects have to be monitored. They have to be, the impact has to be reported, and they have a regular and very diligent process of use of proceeds. Another important tool that is available currently is the carbon credits market. These are basically permits or certificates that represent the right to emit a certain amount of carbon dioxide or equivalent, other greenhouse gases. Companies trade carbon credits on various platforms, allowing them to offset their carbon emissions through purchasing credits from other institutions that have successfully reduced their carbon emissions. There are two types of carbon credit markets: the compliance markets, and these are established because of a national, international, regional regulatory issue, or a voluntary carbon market, and this is done on voluntary basis. The trading there is on voluntary basis. Also, during COP27, there was the carbon market initiative. The Africa Carbon Market Initiative was launched, trying to empower and activate the carbon markets within Africa. The voluntary carbon market size worldwide in 2023 reached $2 billion. 164 million, if I'm not mistaken, US dollars out of these comes from Africa. And the need is much, much more, and the projections is that we need like 15 times this amount of funding by 2030. On the disruptive business models, I think the best example is the fintechs, as we mentioned, and currently I think every bank would recognize that fintechs are rocking our space. Fintechs have revolutionized the payments landscape, the lending landscape, because they expand access to finance. They address the needs of the most vulnerable in the most convenient way. And above all, they also reduce the transaction cost. If we can think about platforms like what Fawry or what InstaPay has done throughout the payment system, and how convenient the service has become and how much the transaction costs have been reduced, then we see that this disruptive business model is doing everything when it comes to inclusion, access to finance, and these are all SDG requirements. There are also the more focused startups, and these are emerging as second to fintechs and gaining popularity now, which are the climate-led startups. These constituted almost a third of the startup funding in Africa in 2023, second after fintechs. And these include businesses in renewable energy, carbon removal, land restoration, water and waste management, and the like. And I think there is a lot of opportunity for different kinds of funding. If we write, the idea is that the funding is always there. It's just how you're going to attract it and how are you going to utilize it. And you will find people coming up with different ideas, with innovation in the funding space, because that's what different tools and innovation in financial instruments is all about. So I think the opportunities are great when it comes to Africa and African markets in general, and Egypt, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yasmine. And you talked about regulated carbon markets. And of course, one of the most prominent is the European Union Emission Trading Scheme, where, as we heard today from a couple of speakers, the CBAM emerged, or the EU Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So my question is to Ms. Rasha Zedan from QNB AlAhli. So how does CBAM and other external factors impact the strategic priorities and operational decision of your corporate clients? And what have been some of the creative ways also the clients have responded? And if you could just quickly define also what is the EU CBAM, because maybe some of the audience are not aware of what does it mean.
Yes. The Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, or the CBAM, is a policy implemented by the European Union with specific objectives, which are preventing carbon leakage and global decarbonization, supporting the European Union goals of achieving climate neutrality by 2050. The implementation of the CBAM will follow a gradual and stepwise approach to ensure that the businesses have enough time to adapt with this new policy. This transitional phase will last until December 2025. This phase will involve the implementation of monitoring and reporting requirements. CBAM covers the following 6 sectors, which is cement, iron and steel, aluminium, fertilizers, electricity and hydrogen. Starting from 2026, importers of these goods into the European Union have to report on the carbon emissions in their products and purchase the CBAM certificates to cover these emissions. The implementation of the CBAM will have significant impacts on Africa and the developing countries, both negatively and positively. Negatively by increasing export costs result from the purchasing of the CBAM certificates to make the required adjustments in case the important products to the EU do not incur a carbon cost equivalent to this in the European Union. Also, it may create compliance challenges or potentially increasing inequality and developmental issues. However, the CBAM will provide positive opportunities for Africa through the attraction of green investments. Implementing the CBAM standards will attract foreign direct investments into Africa, especially in green technologies and renewable energy sectors, development of local industries by greener practices, in improving environmental standards through reducing their carbon footprint, and also climate financing. The CBAM will increase climate financing from the European Union to the African nations, helping them to meet their strategies under the Paris Agreement. In Egypt, the CBAM is considered a real challenge in relation to the 6 targeted sectors, and in particularly to fertilizer, cement, and aluminium industries. Therefore, an assessment of the level of the carbon emissions of these 6 sectors is critical in order to mitigate against the negative effect on the Egyptian market. Here we have to point out on the continuous efforts of the Egyptian government to enhance decarbonization. This includes the development of the National Climate Change Strategy 2050, the development of the renewable energy capacities and green hydrogen production, and the development of carbon credit framework. Also, there are some actions that we have or that we need to put into considerations, which is enhance the coordination between the private sector and the government of Egypt, enhance coordination among various national stakeholders on the CBAM trade-related matters, focusing on the emissions reduction initiatives and incentives. Here we come to the last part, which is the integration of the CBAM into the banking operation. First, compliance and reporting. Banks have to be aware of the compliance and reporting requirements under the CBAM. Supply chain analysis, as Dr. Suzan told us, banks should assist their clients to conduct a thorough supply chain analysis to understand the carbon footprint of their important goods. ESG integration is the CBAM encourages banks to embed ESG into their financing policy by introducing new sustainable practices. For QNB AlAhli, the following steps have been taken. First, which is the risk assessment of the potential impact of the CBAM on the bank's export trade portfolio in relation to these 6 targeted sectors. Another risk assessment is done in relation to our lending portfolios, which is Scope 3. QNB AlAhli will start measuring Scope 3 in quarterly basis on a sectorial basis. Second, climate engagement to identify the CBAM potential risks and opportunities. Financial products through developing financial products tailored to help our clients in their transition to greener practices and reduce their carbon footprint. Partnership and collaboration, partnership with international organizations, development banks, and industry associations to stay informed about the CBAM developments, enhance data collection and reporting system, ensure compliance with the CBAM regulations and reporting requirements, finally, capacity building and training.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rasha. And my last question in the panel to Ms. Soha. And as we heard from Ms. Rasha and the CBAM that focuses on 6 sectors, that each industrial sector requires different solution. And like I know that the CIB has been at the forefront at deploying sustainable finance strategies aimed at the decarbonization across specific industry sectors like buildings, for example. So we'd like to hear more about like tangible success stories that has contributed to lower carbon future for your client and community.
Okay, thank you. Well, CIB has been playing a pivotal role in making the market for the sustainable finance, as we believe that the sustainable development creates opportunities for innovative offerings and products. CIB, together with their partners, the international community, and the IFC and KfW and EBRD, have had several offerings to the market, but actually the catalyst started in 2021 with the offering of the $100 million green bond for corporate clients with the IFC. It was targeted, this, as I said before, the bond was utilized like, it was a revolving bond that we utilized 3 times. It ended by 2023. And we addressed lots of sectors: real estate, electricity, transportation, rubber, food and beverage, packaging. But the landmark was that CIB was the only bank in Egypt that provided the EDGE certificate for 2 of its prime clients in the real estate, which was New Giza University in the west side and 8 commercial buildings for Sodiq in the east side. And it's worthy to mention that for New Giza, it took us around 9 months to get the approvals from the IFC, and this because the building was already built. So we needed lots of working for retrofits and to be applicable for the grant. However, for Sodiq, it took us only 2 months to get the approvals for 8 buildings, and this shows the learning curve and the amount of effort put, as I said, because we do have our own technical engineers that makes it easier for the client to know the requirements. So we led him through from the beginning how to build and everything about the codes and how to build the commercial buildings. Additionally, and in light of the market appetite, we signed another $100 million bond in 2023 that is addressing the highest sectors for carbon emissions, and we are starting to avail it to our clients starting this year. I think something, because as we said, we are always addressing the E, the environment, but maybe with less stress on the S. So I'm very proud to say that CIB has played a pioneering role in launching the first and biggest non-sovereign linked securitization bond. And this is the 3.8 billion Egyptian pound securitization bond, the first in Africa, that's non-sovereign, first in Egypt, in collaboration with our, of course, prominent client Tasahil for microfinance to address the unprivileged and unbanked small and micro business. Thank you.
Okay, so I think, ladies, you are very efficient and we finished directly on time for the panel. So I would like to end by thanking you all for your really insightful contribution, each speaker and each bank journey. And I thank the audience also for their attentive listening, and wish you all very successful next panel and also tomorrow, the rest of the conference. So thank you very much.
شكرا للمتحدثين بالجلسة على هذه المناقشات القيمة.